Welcome to How Now, the podcast where we talk about how to live in the now. And here's your host, Kim Martin Raymond.
Peace and blessings, and welcome to another edition of the How Now podcast, where we talk about how to live in the now. I am your host, Kim Martin Raymond. I am a spiritual life coach. I am an author. I am a minister, and I am also the founder of Redefining You LLC, where I help my clients to realign themselves, mind, body, and spirit. So we are back with another episode, and we're going to be talking a little bit about mindset. Now, as we're continuing to go through this pandemic, it's been difficult for people to navigate in this space, to be able to cope. And when we say cope, that's an acronym for creating our peaceful existence. What are some things that we can do that are going to help us in this space? And so one of those things that, are important is our mindset, how we view things, and we've had to make a lot of adjustments in our lives over this past year. And still in this coming year, a lot of decisions to be made, a lot of things that have been coming down the pike for us. And it's really putting us in a state of saying, okay, I have to look at things differently from the way I typically see them. Okay. And one of those things, of course, is paradigm thinking. Okay. And when we talk about a paradigm, we're talking about a standard. We're talking about perspectives, a set of ideas. And when we talk about changing our paradigm, we're talking about changing the way that we think, hence the term paradigm shift. We hear that sometimes. And so we want to talk a little bit about paradigm thinking, what it is and what it entails. And my guest here is, no stranger to that term, and he speaks about it frequently. And we're going to have him chime in on how important it is for paradigm thinking. So, as is customary with the How Now podcast, I'm going to have my guest to introduce himself at this time.
Hi, how you doing? How you doing? Glad to be with you this morning, Kim. It has been an excellent and great time to be in this space.
Yes.
My name is Darryl Williams. I am a Proctor Gallagher consultant. What that details is I disassimilate information for Bob Proctor, which was one of my dreams back in the days, to work with him and not for him. So I work with Bob Proctor, a man that has done over 60 years of study in mind development.
So it's wonderful to have you here, Darryl, and to talk about this concept of paradigm thinking. Okay, so tell our listeners a little bit about what paradigm thinking is, or what the crux behind that is.
Well, one of the things I tell people is a paradigm is basically in quick technology and meaning and definition. A paradigm is a group of habits. And when I'm trying to make it simple, a group of habits that has almost exclusive control over your habitual behavior. But here's the thing, almost all of your behavior is habitual.
Yeah. And they say that it takes how many days to make a habit? Is it 21 days to make a habit?
Some say 21, some go with 14, some go with 47.
Wow. Creating
a habit is a thing that you do repetition, whether it's 3 to 21 days. Out of repetition, you create that habit. That habit then takes over and gives you exclusive control of what you're doing. Yeah. And one of the things you can do, just think about it. When you get up in the morning, some get up in the morning, they immediately stretch. They have a habit of what they do when they get out the bed in the morning and how they get out the bed in the morning. If that's interrupted, you normally have a problem with the other person that may be next to you.
Yeah, makes sense. But yeah, just like you said, it's almost automatic. Those things, like you said, as you wake up and it just automatically, I do. And it's interesting that you say that, because when I think about that, I also think about, how sometimes the monotony of doing something, or we get so used to doing something a certain way, and like you said, when it gets interrupted, we kind of feel a little off kilter, like, hey, wait a minute, something is wrong. Or sometimes you get in that space where it's kind of like, I do this so much, I'm just existing and not living. And so, if that makes sense, because what happens is we become almost robotic. It's like, okay, get up, ding, brush your teeth, ding, put on the coffee maker, ding, get in the car, ding, go to work, ding. It becomes, monotonous, but clearly any interruption to that can be problematic, right?
Yeah, that reminds me of a quote that Bob said one time. He said, most people tiptoe through life just in mere existence, not ever trying to live life. They just tiptoe through life.
Right.
And it's just a mere formality when they're finally pronounced dead.
Wow. That's a statement. That's your whole life, and now it's gone and was never lived. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, those are some of the things that happen when we get caught in our paradigm, and we basically once caught in that paradigm, and when it becomes time to shift it, the paradigm puts up a heck of a fight. And because of our laxity of information, we normally go back to our comfort zone.
Right. That makes sense. I mean, think about the masks. We have to wear masks every day. That's something that now has become habitual for some of us. We have them hanging in our cars. We have them everywhere, and automatically we go, and then we know, yep. We already know. If we get out the car, sometimes it depends. Sometimes, I've had my mask on all day, then I go and I take it off when I get in the car, and then all of a sudden when it's time to step out, sometimes I have to go, oh, I look through my face and I'm like, I don't have my mask on. Yeah. But it's become a habit. It's something that we didn't necessarily look for that, but it shows that we can make an adaptation if we need to, under certain circumstances. Just like you said, There are some who are resistant against it. You're absolutely right about that. We resist against that. We fight against it. And now we have to say, okay, well, now there are certain things that we have to do. And we're like, So there's a little difference between those things that we have to do and those things that we want to do as far as making changes, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And just talking about the mask, that when it first came out, it was a constant forgetfulness to grab your mask. And they was creating masks, they was setting them everywhere because some people were always forgetting. But now, after the year have gone, it has become a habit to grab your purse, your wallet, your mask.
That's right.
And it reminds me of the commercial. What you got in your wallet?
That's right. That's right. And it's important, like you said, to make sure you have those things, those habit forming things. But you also want to make sure that they're for the positive, because we can have negative habits as well, right?
That's it. And you got both grow in equal proximity. So whatever it is that you're in, if you had nothing but negative proximity, then that means your growth of that habit, that negative habit, has become your paradigm. Just as well as the positive. That positive growth, that positive habit, the habitual way of living has become your paradigm. See, so paradigms don't have to be something negative.
Right. They can
and it may be something that you don't need to shift. So we're talking about the one that you do need to shift. There may be some great habits that you don't need to shift. That's working very well.
Right. Well, how do you kind of identify sometimes, when is it only when problems come, or is it something where or is it just something inside of you that just says, I need to make a change? Does it always have to be a crisis that causes a paradigm shift?
No, but necessarily it is. That's an awesome and great question, Kim. The problem is normally that is what causes it. But the reality of it, if you just look at your results will always tell you where your paradigm is. because based on your results, which will never lie, it will tell you whether you're having negative or positive behaviors. Mm-hmm. So if you're ever out of line, just look at the results. If the results is not what I want, but I keep getting that same results, right, then you need to check your paradigm.
Right. Right.
You know, back in the days, our older parents and grandparents used to always say, check your attitude.
That's right. Check yourself before you wreck yourself, you know, right?
That's it. You see? But based on the result that they were looking at from the attitude that they were getting from you, told them that there was a problem that was needed some shifting. And in our nowadays, in our new technology, in our new terminology, it tells us that technology is your paradigm. Mm. It needs to be shifted. Yeah. Because your results has told off on you. Mm.
It's interesting, like you said, technology. And that's a good point, because we had to make a shift when the pandemic hit towards using Zoom, just like these platforms that we're using now. People were like, what? We have to do what? We had to find different ways to communicate outside of the physical. And now it's almost becoming commonplace for people to jump on a Zoom or jump on a live or jump on their video chat to be able to get in contact with their families, as well as, for business purposes. So absolutely, that shift in technology and being able to say, okay, I need to get on the stick. If I'm going to be able to get in contact with the people who I love, and if I'm going to be able to be successful in my business ventures, I'm going to have to know the technology that's going to help me to get there. So I didn't even think about that one, but you're absolutely right about that. That's definitely part of the paradigm shift.
Yeah, and see, within that, it became a time for a pivot. Now, Zoom and all this technology had already been there, but no one was paying attention to it or acknowledging it, because they had a different way of doing it. They were in their habitual behavior when it came to delivering presentations the way they wanted to and the way they normality had them doing. And then all of a sudden, the pandemic hit, and then they had to make a pivot. And in making that pivot, it was a fight, because in making a pivot, you had to do what? You had to shift your paradigm. Right. That's right. You had to come out of those habitual behaviors that you had, and now you have to now look at doing something different. Right. And it was a fight for many of them. Right. I'm going to this hotel. I'm going to do my meeting here. No, I can do
but
this.
If the hotel's closed.
So they fought.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of it is also educating. We're in an information age. We have so many things accessible to us, but we still tend to go with like you said, what's comfortable. And so I don't want to have to learn something new, especially, when you start getting into the older years, I'm right there on the corner, but just saying that, you don't want to have to learn something new. I've been doing this for years. It's worked for me for years. And now I'm being required to do something new. I'm being required to learn something, and I don't feel like it. So I think that's where you get a lot of the pushback, because if it's not easy, fast, and convenient, which is also something that technology has taught us, that everything comes rapidly. Everything you can get instant, boom, boom. And if you can't do it quick, then people don't want to do it. Am I going to learn it in 5 minutes? No. Okay, then never mind. So you get a lot of pushback from that, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Yeah, you have now ducked into the now phase. So everyone wants it now.
Right.
Right. I need it. I want it now.
Right.
You see, and if I don't get it now, that means I need to do something else or create something else. I need it now. It's the hurry.
Right.
And these things just don't come now.
Right.
But they will come the same way you put it on is the same way you have to take it off.
Right. Right.
Bit by bit. Albert Einstein once said that the thinking that got you to where you are is not the same thinking that's going to take you from that point.
See that? I love it. And that makes sense. That makes sense for us to be able to move. Like you said, we can't keep doing things the same way and expecting the results to be different, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of us do. That's, well, if I keep on doing this, if I keep on eating the way that I'm eating, eventually I'm going to lose weight. That doesn't happen. Even in, we all know, even in healthy eating. I'm just going to use that because I'm in a program myself trying to work on my weight loss. My thing is, you come in, you start, you're excited, you made that shift, you're going about eating properly, you're doing what you're supposed to do, and then all of a sudden it kind of stalls out. And you're like, but I'm eating right, and I'm exercising and I'm doing this. But we tend, even when we're doing the right things, to sometimes fall into a rut as well, and things kind of stall out, and it's necessary for us to do things different. And that kind of goes along the line of changing mindset and paradigm as well, right?
That most definitely does. And what you're experiencing is a great thing. Here's the thing, and I've taught on the weight loss and different things. Diets don't work. That's that they mean exactly what they say is that you diet it. Here's one of the things, one of the greatest things about weight loss. This goes with your paradigm, but it also goes with Dr. Maxwell Maltz talked about in his book Psycho-Cybernetics about the self-image. Mm-hmm. See, when we have a self-image, we can't outperform that self-image.
Wow.
So a person that's looking to lose weight, if the self-image was a self-image of a person of weight, even if they lost 30 or 40 pounds, when they get to a certain point, that self-image will come back and it will find that weight that was lost. And sometimes it finds even more and it puts it right back on a person.
Right.
It's not nothing that you're doing. So the eating and all the different things, not nothing that you're doing wrong. It's your self-image of who you are and the way you see you, and the results you are getting tell you that you need to increase or better your self-image. Nothing wrong with your self-image. It's just, like I said, what got us here, it takes another level of thinking to take us to the next step.
Right. Wow.
You see? So that's one of the biggest things. And that's where this paradigm shifting comes in at, because see, when you get ready to change that self-image, once again, what do we have? We have that paradigm that's ready to put up a fight.
Right. So how do we start moving in that direction of that shift? I'm assuming that, like you said, a situation occurs, a certain result you're seeing is not working, and then you decide, okay, I need to make a change. I need to do something different. How do people start taking those steps? What is something that they can do to kind of move in that direction?
Well, I'm going to do just a quick thing, because, I know we're on a time limit, but this is exactly what Bob Proctor has been teaching for over 50 years. This is what I'm now teaching through, and I call it, I have a licensing with Bob Proctor. I call it better terms, I call it what do you call it? Like a franchise. Mm-hmm. So I have the business that he has, and he gave me a business in a box. Gotcha. And when you look at it, how do you begin to change it? When you notice something and you notice it's a result that you're not getting, you have to know how to just switch, stop and switch. It's just as simple as if you always put your right shoe on first. Then just start waking up, put your left shoe on. Put your left shoe on first. Instead of putting your blouse on, put your skirt on first, or your pants on first. Whatever it is, you just make that quick change. And as you do that, it creates the discipline.
Gotcha. That makes sense. That makes sense. And like you said, that's something simple.
Yeah, you just start with, don't try to rush in and tilt the whole cargo over.
Right. And I think that's what we tend to do. You're right.
Yeah, a lot of us do what we call a domino effect. We go in, we try to change something, like we move one piece and it collapses everything else. Then like, oh no, I ain't never doing that no more.
Right. 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 But I like that. I like that analogy that you use. Like you said, changing your shoe, something so simple like that, just so that you start getting in the habit of doing something different, and not necessarily feeling forced. I think about it. I recently purchased a car, and I'm used to hanging my little mask on one side of the car. It didn't have that little lever where I used to hang it on in this new car. And I was like, okay, now I got to go and put it on the other side. It took a couple of days of me going, oh, nope, it's not on this side. I got to put it on this side. But that was something that, I was more forced to do. But I love that you say that when you're making some personal paradigm shifts, just the little simple things that you're doing is something that you've started. And so we tend to be a little bit more, or we hope to be a little bit more kinder with ourselves and saying, okay, I'm doing this for me. And so it gives the onus, or puts the onus back on us to say, okay, I'm going to do something different. And it's not somebody forcing me to do it. I'm just going to do it because I need to do something different. And just like you said, it starts with those small steps.
Yeah. And always remember, small successes create huge successes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just the small things in life that creates more. My mom used to say, you watch the pennies and the dollars will take care of themselves.
There you go. Ooh, I like that one. I like that one. Yes, okay, because 100 pennies gonna make $1, and doesn't matter. People say, I don't know all those pennies, but those pennies add up. They add up. Time. They add up. Okay, so wow. So like you said, just being able to make those small steps. Is it necessary? I know that's the physical, but is it necessary sometimes for us to write things down? You hear people talking about journaling and vision boards and being able to write things down and to see it. Is that a good technique for paradigm shifting as well?
Oh, one of the greatest ones. One of the things I started doing when I first started, and I was looking at going into business with Bob Proctor, just working, and then I didn't care whether I worked for him or with him. I just wanted to be in business with Bob Proctor.
Right.
So one of the things I did constantly was I wrote down what I wanted.
Right.
And I wrote it down on a constant basis. Even today, right now, every morning I wake up and I write down my goals every single morning.
Nice.
I'm not gonna miss a morning. I don't care where I am. If I'm driving, which is most of the time what I'm doing, when I'm driving in and out of states, I will stop and pull over on the side of the road in the rest area, and I'm going to write down my goals and gratitudes that morning.
Love it. And I love that you said gratitude, because I think that's a big part of it too. Sometimes we forget, the little things. We forget that we woke up in a nice, comfortable bed, or that when we turned on the light switch, it came on. And when we turned on the water to brush our teeth, the water came out of the faucet, and all of those little things. So yeah, it's definitely, I think, huge for us to remember, to be, gracious or to be grateful for the things that we have, and that we have the ability to shift, because some people may not feel like they're in a position to shift because of their circumstance, right?
Yeah, and that could be one of your hugest problems. And anyone that can hear me right now at the sound of my voice, understand one thing and know this for certain. You are never past a point where you cannot change, no matter what. You can always change. Remember the one thing from the scripture. I don't get holy or Bible with anybody, but the simple fact is, what God has said, with God, anything is possible. Anything. So there is no limit on what you can or cannot do at what age or what predicament or circumstance you find yourself in. You can always change.
Right.
You see.
And I believe that comes from within. Yeah, it comes from within. It has to start with us, because I don't think that any decision that's made, if we're not willing to be in that mind space and to be able to say, okay, I need to do better, I want to do better, then you can't even embark on it. You can't even start. How can you make the shift if you're not the one who's willing to make the shift? People can force you to do things, but just like you said, eventually you'll fall back into what's comfortable for you.
Yeah. And which is what happens a lot of time with children. See, I've been hearing a lot of talk about children and doing this and they need to change, they need to stop doing it, they need to do this, do that. And everybody's getting down on top of the kids of what they need to do about society and different things. But if no one has helped them to change their self-image,
right,
or help them to understand that it's a paradigm that's controlling them, they have no way of changing or doing anything.
Yeah.
So because they didn't program themselves, remember now, they got programmed upon conception. You see, a lot of people say it was after they born and actually got older. No, they got programmed. The program started upon conception.
That's right.
Because a little DNA came from mom, a little DNA came from dad.
That's right.
The DNA came from that side, mama's side, daddy's side. And then as they begin to come down, they picked up DNA and they picked up different things. As they was in the womb of mom, they was in transition, they was in transformational time. Right. See, so in that transformational time, which pregnancy is not just, they look and they only say, okay, this is only a part of the women's Adam part. But see, pregnation, you can be pregnated with an idea of something. And then when you birth that idea, it took on the DNA of all the thoughts that you were having throughout the pregnation. You see, so that's what these children are taking on. They're taking on all the different things during the pregnation. So they're coming here with a program running. And then throughout that, as they begin to grow, then they're taking in a whole bunch of other things, which I'm doing I'm doing a video on the self-image. Awesome. Because see, this is something huge that we have to begin to work with our children on. Most of the children that go through school, they're not failing just because they want to fail.
Right.
They're failing because of something that's going on with the self-image. And if you look at the results, you can tell where they're thinking is right then and there. And then you can help them change it, because you take all of their things from them and you put them on punishment and things, and then they grade some kind of increase.
Right.
But they're just temporary, they're not permanent.
Right.
Because always remember, wherever that self-image is, it's going back.
See, and that's a lot of powerful information that you just shared. Just like you said, it's something that starts from within at the time of conception. Just like you said, it takes the DNA of both to come in, and then they're coming in, and then they're being birthed into this world. And then, you become a product of your environment too, of the things that are going on around you. And you're taking in all of those areas. And a lot of our thinking comes exactly from there. And until we learn, or until we're taught something different, we tend to stay in that same place. Everything is about finding that little space of comfort. We come out, we're born, we're born into a certain environment. And for some people, they just stay right in that hole. You have those people who never, ever come out of their community, never come out of their area to know anything else outside of what they know. And until they get into a mindset that's a little bit more, intrinsic, where they're saying, okay, well, what can I learn? How can I grow? If they don't have that experience or that exposure, then they're less inclined to make that shift, because they don't know what other things look like. You have to know what you're shifting to and what it looks like, right?
Yeah, a lot of things say you don't have to know the how, you just need to know the why. But one of the greatest things, and I like what you said, because it reminds me of something that I read from Thomas Troy's book. This was Thomas Troy was a writer back in the 1800s.
Okay.
One of the phrases he used, Thomas Troy was put down that my mind is the center of divine operation. And divine operation is always for expansion and full expression.
Yeah. And
this means the production of something new, something beyond what has gone before.
That's it. Wow.
You see, that's the key part to everything. You were made and designed for expansion and expression. So you're always looking to expand.
Right. One thing I love is I always love the saying, you learn from your womb to your tomb. There's never a
That's
day
it.
that goes by that you're not learning something, even if it's on the most minute scale. No matter how long you've been doing something, there's always a slightly different way to do things. I laugh because I think about when Facebook, I think, first came out with with a video showing people how to use a can opener. We were taught always to use the can opener, turning it to the side, and then turning it. That's how you open it. And then they were like, "No, you're supposed to put it on the top." And everybody was like, "What?" And I was one of those people. My grandmother was 100, and I think she was 102 at the time. And I said, "Grandma, all these years," I said, "you ain't tell us that we're supposed to put the can opener this way." She said, "Well, I didn't know either." But it just goes to show how long we can be conditioned or to do something one way. Yeah. And even though we got a result of opening it, how many times when we opened it, then the top fell inside, then you got whatever was on the outside of the can. That's to make sure you clean the top of the can first, because it might fall inside. But when you did it the other way, it stuck to the can opener and it never went inside. They both opened the can, right? but one gave you a better result than the other. So I think that's a part of paradigm shifting too. It shows that, yes, we can still get a similar result, but sometimes there's a way to do it a little better, and we have to be willing and open-minded for that.
Yeah, you got to be open-minded for that. One of the things I know that they heard Bob say he heard from another lady that was speaking. I heard a few times before though, but they said that 95% of success is mindset, and 5% is strategy. You see,
that's huge. That's huge.
But yet still, we all go for strategy, and we forget to develop our mind.
Right. Because no matter how good it is, or no matter how much money and things you put into it, if you don't have that execution, if you don't have that mindset for it's going to work, because I think we sabotage ourselves sometimes. We pay into something, or we say, I'm going to pay a marketing specialist to promote my business, and then when they give you those tools, then you kind of like, you're telling me I have to do a live, or I have to get I don't know if I want to do that, or I have to I have to speak in front of people. I'm not really good at speaking in front of people. You're sabotaging yourself. So just like you said, it's mindset. So even if you give me the tools, if I'm not willing to use those tools, then they're useless. It's not that you're giving me the wrong tools. It's just that I've chosen not to use them. So who's holding me back? Me.
Yeah, and that's basically the whole thing. And one of the other things I do, I've been in network marketing for years. So I do network marketing. The hugest thing that people don't understand about network marketing is mostly mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why a lot of people don't make money in network marketing is not because network marketing doesn't work.
Right.
It's just because the people that's getting in, they don't work, but they don't work because they don't have the mindset to work.
Right.
You see? So that's the problem. That's why they don't make any money. There's nothing wrong with network marketing. Never has been.
Right.
It's been going on since Avon.
That's right. And beyond. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So right. And it's not for everybody.
That's it. It's something that's not for everyone. It's good for everyone, but not for everyone.
There you go. That's why we're all not robots doing the same exact thing, and nobody's doing anything else. We all are doing different things because we're commissioned and called to do different things. And so, it's just finding, that thing that's going to be, best for you, or that's going to, promote those talents and those gifts that you have. So I think
that allows you to expand and express.
Yes.
The gift that God gave you.
Yes. That's my dad says, broaden your base. Always be seeking to broaden your base. What is something else that you can do that's, like you said, that's going to level you up. That's going to take you to the next level,
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, a lot of that when people are seeking to kind of discover what that is, what would you advise as far as, if they're seeking to do that? Is it best for them to, if they have a thought or something about something, to kind of go online or start researching it or asking people who are in that field? What are some suggestions that you would give people who are just looking to take that first step?
Well, you're looking to take that first step. I tell most of the people, when I'm talking to them and doing the coaching time, don't give so much on to how it's going to be done. Just look and decide what you want. The main prerequisites to anything is wanting. It's the wanting of it. Make sure it's just something that you really, really want. If you really, really want it, you will get it. But don't concentrate on the how, because the how is not important. They say when the why is strong enough, the facts don't matter. You see, God said, I would take the things of a fool and confound the wise. One of the things that Steve Jobs said in one of his speeches, he talked about being foolish. He said, be foolish. Because it was him being foolish at times that helped create the apples.
Right.
See? So don't always look for logic. Sandy Gallagher, she's one of Bob Proctor's partners. Sandy Gallagher, she always said, do the illogical. And she was an attorney. You understand, that was trading banks and doing things. Very, very wealthy, very well off, very, very educated. So her whole life was based on logic. And all of a sudden, she had to look into doing the illogical.
And that's good. That's good.
And she's living in something that in a bliss right now. She's exploding, expanding, and expression.
Yes.
Her true gifts.
See, and that's good. I like that. The illogical, because everything doesn't always have to make 100% sense, but it's like you said, you start walking that direction. That's how you have trailblazers, because they're not going in the path that everybody's going in. They're saying, well, I wonder what's over there. Let me walk over there and see what's over there. And then they begin to set that path in motion for others to follow. And I guess that's all about innovation. That's how we get all the things that we've gotten. Somebody thought outside the box. So there you go. There goes the illogical. Right.
You look at Steve Jobs, Bill Gates again, but look even farther than that. Look at the Wright brothers. The Wright brothers came up and they thought about something that, it was said that their father was in the ministry, maybe a minister or in the ministry. And he basically said that they were going to go to hell for what they were thinking about doing.
Wow. Right.
And from their illogicalness created something that now we're only moments away from anywhere in the world.
That's right. And had they not done it, had they not made that shift, had they not stayed with it, we wouldn't have the advances and all of the things that we have if somebody hadn't thought differently, thought illogically.
Thought to be foolish, thought illogically. They didn't go with the grain, they went against the grain.
That's right.
But in a positive way.
That's it. And I think that that's important for us to do, even in this season, in this space of pandemic. People are thinking out of the box. People are doing things differently, and it's going to be necessary in order for us to be able to cope. If we're not willing to make those changes, I think we'll see some times that are going to get, a little harder before they get better.
Yeah. So that's about the size of it. That's it. So I mean, like I said, I'm glad you came on to talk about shifts, to talk about the importance of thinking illogically, to talk about just having a different perspective, because I think that's what's going to help us. That's what's going to help us to cope. That's what's going to help us to
to be able to expand and to grow beyond this situation that we're in, because we're here now. But just like you said, tomorrow is not promised. We don't know what the future holds. All we can do is continue to grow and expand in the space that we're in, so that way we're not, getting into a space of stagnancy and no growth at all, and then we just wind up putting ourselves in a vacuum. And I think that can happen, and we don't want to do that. So it's going to always be about making that paradigm shift, making that change. So I thank you for coming and talking about that. And I'm excited about the classes that you're going to be doing and the things that you're going to be doing. So before I ask you to give me some information for people to find out how they can get in contact with you, I always ask my guests how they are living in the now. So what are some things that you're doing to navigate in this space?
Well, my thing, when the pandemic first started, I said something that I stuck to myself. We're going to either go through the pandemic or we're going to grow through the pandemic. But we're going through it.
Right.
So the choice of whether you go or grow is going to be totally up to you.
Right.
I made a choice to grow through the pandemic. So I took on different courses, different lessons. And I'm constantly reading, constantly writing, so the consistency of doing something positive to keep the growth going.
Yeah.
Is what I do and what I recommend people doing.
Yeah.
Don't just go through it, grow through it.
I love that. Don't just look, I gotta write that down. Don't just go through it, grow through it. Don't just go through it, grow through it. I love that. I love that. Words to live by. Words to live by. Grow through it, because it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming whether we want it to or not. Every day we wake up, we're still here in this now, in this space. What are we going to do with it? And that's important, like you said, and it's all about that choice. It's all about making that choice to grow through it, as opposed to just going through it, just coasting through and waiting and seeing what's going to happen. It's important to be aware, but at the same time, how am I positioning myself once I find out what it is that is happening? How can I be a part of the solution? How can I get to that point of growth? We always talk about that. You go through fear, and then you go through educating yourself and trying to find out what things are going on, and then you grow from there, and then you reach back and you help others. And that's exactly what it is that you're doing, and we're grateful for that. We're grateful for you being here and for you studying and growing, so that way you can reach back and help others who need that help too. So I thank you again so much for being here and for sharing this wonderful and valuable information. So now tell people how they can get in contact with you.
Well, they can either go to my Facebook group page, which is Mining Your Mind.
Minding Your Mind?
Yeah, Mining Your Mind, where we dig into the depths of how your mind works and how it works best for you.
Okay.
So that's Mining Your Mind.
Mining. Okay, I was thinking you were saying minding, but it's mining.
Mining,
Okay.
M-I-N-I-N-G, mining. We're digging.
Mining your mind. I love it. I love it. So that's how they can reach you on Facebook. Is there any other email address that they can reach you at?
Yeah, email address is dwlife485@gmail.com. dwlife485@gmail.com.
Okay, and that information you will definitely find in the description once the show launches. And so again, Darryl, I thank you so much for being with us, for taking time. I see you're in your car, and so you're always on the move, and we love that. Hey, nothing wrong with that. We have to get to where we're going and get things, get things moving. That's how we grow. Okay. That's how we
always moving.
Yes. Again, thank you so much. And we look forward to the things that are going to be going on for you moving forward. And I wish you the best in all that you do.
All right. Thank you again. Appreciate you, Kim.
You're welcome. Okay. And that will do it for this edition of the How Now podcast, where we talk about how to live in the now. And until we see you the next time, I say peace.